بحمد ربي أبدأ المنيرة ثم الصلاة والسلام السيرة على نبي اسمه محمد أبوه عبد الله منه مفرد
أبوه عبد الله منه مفرد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. If you remember, we concluded our last lesson on placing the stone in the Kaaba, and I mentioned that we're going to look at some of the reasons why the people of Makkah, or the Arabs in general, were probably ready to accept Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the final messenger. First and foremost, everybody recognized him for his honesty, his truthfulness. Nobody ever heard him speak a lie. He was never rude. Nobody ever heard him say a swear word. People also witnessed some strange things about him, like he also said that, I would be able to, I could point out stones in Makkah that would greet me, and greet me and say, peace be upon you, O Messenger of Allah. And I would, where's this coming from? And there's a stone talking to me, and these kind of things would happen to him. And other people also saw this. We spoke about this allegiance of righteous men, the non-profit company, the organization rather, that he had started in Makkah at the time, and his contribution, and the fact that he was from such a good family and noble family, and if he wasn't going to become a prophet, he was definitely going to become probably the most significant, important leader of the Arab world in any case. So that's why it was only natural that they would accept this person to be the final messenger. But obviously it doesn't come without its tests. Here the Kaaba is built, and basically now the scene is set for the first revelation, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam starts getting this intense urge to withdraw from people. Now when this happens in a person's spiritual journey, it's a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to enlighten you, right? People refer to it as by various names, soul searching and whatever, midlife crisis, or I'm at a crossroads in my life, I'm indecisive, I don't know what I want to do, and so this is when a person is at a stage where they need to undertake a spiritual journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did just that, and he started spending a lot of time in seclusion, the cave of Hira for instance, where he would meditate. And the practice and the type of worship of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, which included ruku, and included sujood, it included praises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was something known to the Arab world. This is why it was Millat Ibrahim. Islam is referred to as the Millah of Ibrahim, the path of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, because it follows the very same style of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So it wasn't something that was extremely unknown, but it wasn't done exactly the way Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam had done it. It was kind of adulterated and changed, and there were some significant things that had been left out. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would spend a lot of time in the cave of Hira, meditating, pondering over the way things are. Can this be everything there is to life? Surely there must be more. What about the things we've learned from Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam? What about the things we hear about the prophets of the Jews, the prophets of Christianity, the prophet of Christianity, Isa alayhi salatu wasalam? What about all these things that we hear from the monks and the priests? They speak about this, and Arabs are doing something completely different. They're talking about divine revelation from Allah. We as Arabs know Allah, we recognize Allah as the be-all and end-all, but we worship little idols. And all of these things he started pondering over and mulling over. And there were many people at the time who didn't worship idols, who didn't kind of subscribe to that mentality. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam obviously was going to start his revolution with them. Finally, the first revelation comes to him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and as we know, he gets completely overawed by it. He runs back home to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to his wife Khadija radiallahu anha, and he then, like I said, he becomes completely overawed by the incident and the size, the sheer awe of this angel Jibril alayhi salatu wasalam that had come to him, and the sheer enormity, shall I say, of the, sorry, I'm at a loss for words. I don't know how to explain this, and I'm pretty sure he was obviously in a far worse state than I am. And he goes back to his wife, and she comforts him and tells him, no, it can't possibly be something bad that had happened to you. But the angel said to me that I must recite, and it's revelation from Allah. And, you know, so he was craving more and craving more. And he hadn't been given the, command to kind of, call people to Islam openly. After that, it came slightly a little bit later, but he kind of had this urge to share his message with other people, and he was inspired to share his message with other people. And, revelation would come to the prophets and to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in various ways. Number one, he would get true dreams, he would get inspiration from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what we call like kashf or ilham. He would then hear like a bell ringing or like a buzzing sound, and that would then indicate that he's getting revelation. Sometimes Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam would come to him in his original form. Sometimes he would come in the form of a person and ask him questions. And this is all the different ways in which revelation came to him. And just touching on that the point of Khadija radiallahu anha, this shows us, our wives should be, and as wives we should strive to be supportive of our husbands, right? And especially when they're doing that which is good. And well, fortunately, obviously, we don't have an incident in the life of Khadija and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he made a mistake, where he did something wrong and she had to rectify him on that. But we see that teaching of be supportive of your spouse and kind to your spouse and humble with your spouse, and actually take note of the good. Like, look at Khadija, she could point out all the good things that he does. Take note of the good in your spouse, and you will see what a significant impact that has on your relationship. Next revelation that came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, "O you who is covered in a blanket, stand up and go and warn your people." Now the instruction comes to go and give da'wah, and it was secret calling. The very first people who accepted Islam was Khadija radiallahu anha, then Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, Ali bin Abi Talib, Zayd bin Haritha, the daughters of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are all the family members right within the home of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who accepted Islam. And then there was the Ashara Mubashara, that type of Uthman bin Affan, Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, Abu Salama radiallahu anhu, Abu al-Asad al-Makhzumi, bin Makhzum ibn Murrah. We have Barra bint Abd al-Muttalib, the cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The aunt of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A number of people that accepted Islam in like the second wave. Then there was the third wave, and these are all people that were very close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that had also been inspired in this way. That it doesn't make sense that all of these things, that it must just be like that. Now, with the continuing da'wah efforts, there was a very beautiful environment that was created in a home of Arqam bin Abil Arqam. They created a little like a Darul Ulum, a type of shall I say, what do you call this now? It wouldn't be a masjid, like a learning center or a Islamic center, shall we say, right? And that's where they started implementing Islam. The tarbiyah was being made. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was exhorting them to implement the beautiful qualities and attributes that a Muslim is supposed to have. There was a great spiritual awakening within them going to speak to their friends secretly, studying the deen and learning the different rules of Islam with regards to tahara. Now you understand, these things were revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inspired to him in different forms of revelation, but not specifically now included in the Quran, and the method of teaching it and imparting it was not included in the Quran, but revelation that had come to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And a very important thing to note is the qualities of the earliest Sahaba radiallahu anhum was, firstly, their unshakable iman. That was the main focus of their training and of their teaching, was their tarbiyah in terms of their aqidah and their iman, in terms of their unshakable faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, specifically of tawheed and turning away from everything besides Allah, frequently supplicating to Allah. They used to exert themselves in worship, exert themselves throughout the night in worship. In fact, in the initial stages of Islam, like tahajjud was compulsory upon the believers, right? And they held on to that even after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed nafilatal lak. It's now been made, extra, optional for you, but they still held on to it, and they would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala excessively. And this is what made them stand out, really, because they held on, and like the mashayikh of Tasawwuf also said that once you've reached your shall I say final destination, you've got ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and whatever, then you think that they'd stop the dhikr, and because they've achieved it already, they've done what they need to do. It's like you only bait the fish until you catch it, and then you stop baiting the fish. So they respond and say, like, how can we let go of that which brought us here? We need to continue with it. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam continuing his da'wah efforts. Obviously now the word is getting out and people are accepting Islam. They're speaking to their family members, and just flipping through the pages of this book here, a great deal of emphasis placed on what is being taught in Islam, the different aqidas with regards to akhirah, risala, with regards to tawheed. And this was all the stuff that was extremely important to the believers. It was extremely important in terms of their tarbiyah. And it is something that as believers we need to also focus on today, because we've got so many isms and all the different movements that are out there in the world. What happens is that we start, if we don't lay the foundation within ourselves, we don't lay the foundation within our homes, and we don't start making it a priority to speak about deen and to speak about Islam in our homes, then we might get swept up with all these isms. So let us consider the aqidah tarbiyah that was being given, that nurturing in terms of spirituality, in terms of iman, in terms of what our faith is about, that was given to the Sahaba in the initial phases of Islam, when they had to keep everything secretive, and just to get the first group of Muslims really staunch and firm on their beliefs, because they were going to be the first supporters of Islam, the first propagators of Islam. Let us start making that a habit. Let us turn our homes into the home like Darul Arqam, the home of Arqam bin Abil Arqam, where we speak about deen. Let us stop being shy to speak about deen. It's such a party pooper. You're having a meal, you're having a visit, and somebody starts speaking about deen. The whole conversation dies. But why? It's not supposed to be like that. We conclude our lesson like this, and we'll continue with the next phase in the life of the Prophet ﷺ of open preaching and the different hijras that then happened as a result of the persecution. May Allah give us tawfiq and understanding. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.
بحمد ربي أبدأ المنيرة ثم الصلاة والسلام السيرة على نبي اسمه محمد أبوه عبد الله منه مفرد